Hello, it's Juha from NouxNode, and this video is about NouxCloud release notes October 2023. And this is our agenda today. Um, let's start with new cloud features, and we have some quite big developments there. And the biggest one is this licensing. Let me show you what it's about. I'm now, by the way, in such a system that there's a lot of lights on. Your own system might be more streamlined. But this licensing, as you well know, NouxNode pricing model is based or is such that there's a basic fee of the cloud app, and then on top of that there are edge fees depending on how many edges you are using. Uh, what we have now added is that you get a license key, or you need to buy a license key to actually use these apps. And if I show from the data sources and go to the gateways, when you add a new gateway, you remember that there's this pairing key that you can enter, but now there's also a field for license key. So you need to enter the license key in order for the edge to work. And where can you get these keys? Under settings, there will be this kind of gateway license keys section, and you can see here now that in this instance we have two edge keys. We have both standard and premium ones, so there are levels in the edges, and also the status. You can see that these are not paired anywhere. Okay, how do you get these? There's this add button that when you need a new license, you can enter the amount, and then are you going to get standard or premium ones, and then it will generate these, and our invoicing will be based on these then. This is for the edge. There's also similar ones for the cloud, and it will be under companies. Here where you set the colors and your logos and such. Here is the license, so you can select whether it's standard or premium. And these edges especially, you can use both, so you don't have to that, okay, I'm only using standard edges, but I also can, you can have like several standard and several premiums. And then also, like I showed here, this is where you, when you're creating a new one or pairing a new one, you enter it here. But for the existing ones and for later purposes, if you open this one, the license key is here also. And one of the big benefit of this model is now that, because we have a lot of customers who say, or have the situation where they actually make the configuration at the factory already, and then perhaps something like 6 months later, the machine is actually installed on site and it's commissioned, and only afterwards, from that point onwards, they actually need the data. So previously they had to buy the license immediately when they connected something here and did the configuration. But this licensing works now so that you can actually even pair it, or you can do the configurations with the license key, and then you can take the key out, which means that the configuration is saved, but the edge is not sending data. So this means that you don't actually need the key, or you need one key when you're configuring it at your factory, the machine, but you can then take it out and configure perhaps some other machines, but only when you start collecting the data, when you actually need it, then you can enter the key again. The configuration is there, it starts sending the data according to configuration when you have it. And for your information, or for our existing customers, it's not there yet, this feature. We will communicate you later what we will do and when we will do it, but it will happen in steps. So in phase one, you will notice that your existing edges will have these licenses, but they don't do anything yet. And then at a later phase, we will make them actually work and or function so that they will not send data unless you have one in each edge. Uh, after some deadline, you should have all your edges that you want to use should have this license key. But like said, we will communicate it later, and we will do this in phases. Okay, moving on. New table view. You can actually already see what this means, that when we have certain table views here, they have been it's a bit more enhanced or more sophisticated version now. For example, let's go back to the gateway license keys. You can see here, or you can see that almost everywhere where we have tables, we have this new table view, and you can see here that the sorting and filtering methods are way more advanced than previously, and this also makes it possible to group certain things, like for example if I drag and drop this one here, you can see that okay, it now grouped. It doesn't make a lot of sense because there's only two rows. It grouped according to the license the rest of the rows. This makes more sense, for example, with nodes. If you have you can have hundreds of rows of data, so it's easier to group and filter them or sort them. I mentioned that this is almost everywhere. Unfortunately, it's not yet under gateways or gateway configuration. Here you can see that it is here, but once we go to the actual configuration, here you can see that it's still the same. And this is because that we are working on some we are working on this, so it will look different kind, and there will be more or let's say less confusing user interface for this one, but it's an upcoming feature. And well, this is not it gets very confusing if you have a lot of data, but if there's like only a couple of tags, it's okay. But that is the reason why we don't have the table here yet, but it will be more clear in the future. Okay, custom objects to nodes. You can perhaps remember these custom objects that first you have a custom schema that you can create this kind of data model, like for example the spare part, that you have a, well, whatever you have here, and then you have the unique one. And then once you have created this kind of schema, then you can create objects to that schema. So if I will select here this spare part, you can see that I have added this kind of a spare part accordingly, and I could add this more if I want to. But the development now that we have done is that we can add these to nodes. If I go here and open one random node, you can see that under attributes list, or there's custom objects, and there's also this kind of custom object extension. So it's either possible to add, first select the schema and then select an existing object and then click add, and you can see that some data appears here. The object is now connected to this node. It's also possible to add schema. So select a schema, for example this one, and then add it, and you can see that the attributes are now here, not just this kind of a summary. And the difference between these two are that this extension is so-called one-to-one relation, meaning that it's only going to be in this node, or it can only be in this node. And as you can see, this kind of machine plate is a good example, because there's serial number which you can now enter, of course, because the one and the same serial number should not appear in multiple nodes, because it should be only it should be machine specific and therefore only in one node. So that's one-to-one. But these objects are one-to-many, meaning that the same spare part can of course be in multiple nodes, and it would be even desired that if this was a bearing, that we could have it the same spare part is on multiple machines, and meaning that it's going to be on multiple nodes then. That is the difference how this works. This also, by the way, if it's added only to this node, this does not appear in the custom objects list under this schema, um, unlike these, which are first actually created and then only added. Okay, this basically why this is this feature is that we can now add metadata to nodes better, and enable it enables more complicated metadata management for the nodes. Okay, then I will show the indicate alerts in graph, but I will change the system for that one. Just a sec. Or actually, let's not change the system yet. I will show this indicate alerts in graph in this same system. All right, so let's go to dashboards, and well, you can remember that this graph it's very common and a lot of used feature. But now you can show alerts also here. So let me add a. Actually, I will try to add a totally new graph, and then let me select a certain. And this one, I think that there are some nice. Let's take this one. So it's showing temperature, and now under settings. Sorry, not under settings, under alerts, we have these that show alerts. I click that one. Okay, nothing happens yet, but I need to select the node that's originating, or the node path that's originating the alerts, and there you can now see that coming from this node there is one alert in this time range, and you can also see when I put my cursor on top of this one and hover it, you can see some kind of description of the alert. Symbol by default is now like this, but by entering your own image here you could change the symbol. So this is how you can also now show the alerts. Alright, and now actually I will change the system to a bit more streamlined one. Okay, now I have changed the system. Like said, not so many features available here, so it's easier to show. Data flow alert block. So we go now to the new edge features. Data flow alert block. You can remember probably that under data flows, under cloud data flow, there is an alert block that we can use. It's now added also to the edge. So if I go to one edge and then to the data flows here, so you can see that under actions there is alert. This is quite a nice feature because it enables creating alerts. So you don't need to take the data first to the cloud and then create alerts there, but you can create the alerts already on the edge and take those ones. So it makes all kinds of things possible. For example, that you only take alerts and only based on that you make some decisions that okay, now I need to take some data also. So it helps to streamline this, how much data and which data you take. Okay. Hide VPN state and also this log for container activation. Unfortunately, I don't have such an edge here that I could show it, but let's go to the our documentation to wiki, and let's then go under gateways here, and this VPN state I will show it from here. we basically have sometimes we have a Tosibox log for container there, and it is possible to activate it via the system. If it's not possible, then this toggle is hidden basically. Mm, but if you want to use it, then you first you enable this toggle, and after that it will you need this Tosibox activation key, and then you need to press activate, and only after that you get to the phase where you have a remote matching code here. As it says here that you need to wait a few moments, so we have added now, once you click this activate, there's a progress bar telling you that it's actually fetching that activation, or it's doing something with that activation key, so it's not causing confusion that is something happening or not. So that has been now added. All right, let me close this one, and then what else? Well, table array of struct handling, and basically OPC UA array reading. So we have added some features regarding the arrays. TwinCut users know what I'm talking about. This array of struct handling. So it's on the edge, but of course also on the cloud. So it can now handle the data configured like that. And for the OPC UA, the arrays were already supported, but they were more like such arrays that if there was like let's say one variable with 10 values, for example, but we also now have added reading support for such arrays that can have let's say 10 variables with values in that array. So it's more comprehensive now. Those were the new Edge features. Then some smaller improvements. It might be that we already ran into this dashboard continue save thing. So if I go to a dashboard, previously it was perhaps a bit confusing that what happens if you do some changes here and then you need to save the dashboard. So now if I let's delete this one, and then I want to jump to some other location. So now it asks that, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to actually save the changes and continue, or continue without saving, or cancel this whole process? And it's more clearer now that there are options, so that you don't accidentally miss some kind of a change that you wanted to make. I don't want this deletion to be active, so I continue without saving. And now if I go back, it's there. Replacing null values with zero. This is about sometimes there's an issue that if within a time range we don't have values at all, but they still need to be shown as zero, for example some calculation or something like that. And we actually do have, if we take a look again to the documentation, under panels and then this JavaScript. You remember that these both mass expressions, they support JavaScript, and therefore it's possible to create this kind of a syntax, meaning that, okay, if it's null, then rather use zero. Previously with this one we had or this function previously saw that it needed at least one real value, or let's say one actual value, something other than null, in order to work. Meaning that if you had let's say 100 values within a time range, and then this kind of syntax, and then let's say 99 of them were empty ones or null ones, but there was even one value, then it worked as it was supposed to. But if all those 100 values were null values, then it did not work. So therefore we have made a change now, or development, so that it can also handle those kind of situations, that it will replace all those values with zero regardless. All right. And then sort of closely related to the previous one. The last data outside time range. So again, this is about that sometimes we don't have any data in the time range, especially if you are using this monitor variable thing. It means that it's only sending the changed values. So it might be that the value was changed yesterday and you're looking at last 6 hours, meaning that it shows that there's no data. And you probably remember that we already have option here that use last data under settings, but also now in addition to this one we have an option here that it shows data outside time range. If we enable this one, it will show the latest value and its timestamp, uh, so that it's not confusing that where is this actually coming from, because this is not now within the time range that was selected. Um, this is only possible with single panels, uh, because with other panels it might lead into confusing situation, especially with graphs, because we would need to somehow fabricate this timeline here, because it could be showing something totally different from somewhere else. But with the single panels it works. Okay, data flow custom blocks to own section. We already took a look of the data flow earlier. Let's go there back again. And these custom blocks you probably remember. Here are nice new feature that you can actually enter your own code here, and then this block is usable in the library. Previously they were a bit all over the place. Now there's an own section for it. So custom blocks are here. So you can see that these four are the ones that I have here. So that's where they are now. And then last thing, API update, get latest data until. Let me change my screen again, just a sec. Okay, I will go into the our API documentation here, so in the Swagger. Here you can see this API latest. So there are now added parameters from and to, meaning that you can now select the time range that you want to fetch this data. So it's now you have more control that what is the time range that you want to actually monitor if you want to use the API. Okay, that was the release notes this time. Again, I want to remind you about this licensing. So this is something that will be upcoming feature, and we will send more information about it later when it's more when it's closer than that we actually start implementing this. So no need to panic, and like I said, it will happen in phases. So it will be a very controlled process in that sense, that suddenly your edges do not just shut down without any kind of notice. Okay, thank you for watching.